Hi everyone, it's Stacy. Thank you for coming on this yoga leap with me. Welcome to anyone who's finding these videos for the first time. Welcome back to anyone who's been flowing with me through these videos for any amount of time already. As you can see, I have my chair here this week. I know last week, if you did the practice, we just stayed on the ground. We didn't really use the chair. I'm going to be flowing between the chair and the mat today. So if you're using one or the other and you're just waiting for me to demonstrate a posture either in the chair or on the floor, just find a comfortable posture that you can find a few extra breaths in, whether that's the posture we happen to be in or whether it's something like downward dog, child's pose, or mountain pose. Go ahead and find that posture and wait for me to catch up with you. So like I said, I will be moving sort of between the two, so just taking it at your own sort of pace, finding the postures where you can find breath and comfort while I flow through the two. the two. If you like to practice with any other props like blocks, straps, bolsters, anything like that, go ahead and grab those as well. I don't tend to cue with those too often because I'm not sure what everyone has at home. And with that, we'll get started seated on the ground. So I'm going to just head back there and we'll get started. Okay, so I'm going to make my way down to the ground, or you can start on the chair. In fact, I'm going to start in the chair this week since I was on the mat for most of the time last week. I'll start seated. If you're starting on the mat, just any comfortable position, whether that's sitting easy cross-leg or a lotus or half lotus, wherever you feel most comfortable. For those of us in the chair, just rooting down through the sit bones. If you have a chair like mine with a bit of a back, go ahead and feel free to use the back to help support you. And we'll find our feet planted firmly on the ground here as well. Now, options for all of us for our hands are we can have them in our lap, palms turned down if you're looking for a little bit more grounding. If you are looking to bring a little more energy to your practice, you may want to turn the palms up or rest them in your lap, whatever feels best for you. And then finally, if it feels comfortable for you to close your eyes, whether you are in the chair or on the ground, go ahead and do that. If not, maybe just turning the gaze down to the floor to find a soft focus for your gaze. So just taking a few minutes here to settle in, to notice the weight of our body on either our chair or our mat. Notice our hands heavy in our lap, again, whether they are turned up or down. Taking a few moments here to just connect with the breath as well. So don't change the natural rhythm of the breath. Just take a notice of, as best you can, the natural flow of the breath. I know that as soon as we sort of turn our attention to the breath, it changes a little bit. That's okay. I just mean without any sort of big control of the inhale or the exhale. Just notice the natural flow of the breath. Notice if the breath feels deep or shallow. Notice if the breath feels fast or slow. Maybe noticing if the breath feels like it's a little bit more deep in the belly or a little bit higher up in the chest, and there's no right or wrong answer. We're just noticing. Take a few more breaths here, and then maybe we can start to add in some of that control to the breath. We can start to deepen the breath. So think about counting on your inhale for 3 or 4 counts, and think about filling the belly, expanding through the ribs, filling up the chest as well. And then exhaling, so everything's now going to draw back in, chest, ribs, and belly for that same count. So maybe you're inhaling for 4 and exhaling for 4. Inhaling for 4 and exhaling for 4. If you find that that rhythm is too fast or too slow for your practice, go ahead and find whatever rhythm works best for you. Just trying to fill belly, ribs, and chest on the inhale. And then empty chest, ribs, and belly on the exhale. Press it all out. Inhale to fill belly, ribs, and chest. Exhale, chest, ribs, and belly. Do a couple more on your own. And if while we're sitting here, focusing on our breath, noticing the connection of our body to our chair or mat, setting an intention feels like the right thing to do and it's part of your practice, go ahead and do that as well. Now that can be anything like a little mantra, a little motto that you can use in your practice. If you find you start to drift in and out of the present moment, maybe you want to come back by simply saying to yourself, I am present. Maybe today you are reminding yourself that you can do this, I've got this, I feel supported, whatever it is that resonates with you this week, this practice, this moment. Go ahead and repeat that to yourself a couple of times and know that you can always come back to it as well as your breath to bring you back to the present moment that we've carved out for ourselves on our mats and chairs here today. A couple more breaths, a couple more moments with your mantra. And then maybe turning the gaze down, fluttering the eyes open. We'll start to move with our breath a little bit. So still seated comfortably in our chair. If you feel the need to change the cross of your legs, if you're seated in some kind of cross-legged position, go ahead and do that now. Let's inhale, sweep the arms up overhead. And exhale, hands down through heart center. Inhale, sweep the arms up. And exhale down through heart center. So inhaling, we're really reaching up through the side bodies here, reaching the fingertips up towards the ceiling, drawing the air in, and then imagine kind of pulling it down, letting it go on the exhale. Inhale. Exhale, do a couple more here. Find that nice tall stretch through the side body and then press it all out. Last one. All right, let's take a big inhale here. Reach, 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 reach. Maybe we're gonna clasp the fingers, turn the knuckles up towards the ceiling to find a little bit of extra length. It might help to elongate through the sides. If we're grabbing, sort of connecting our hands, it gives us a bit of, I don't know, like something to reach up and pull against, so we can reach, 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 so that the ears meet the shoulders, shoulders meet the ears. And then as we exhale, let's flip the palms back towards our face as we draw down, draw the palms in front. Now we're gonna pull the palms forward and we're gonna find a bit of a rounding through the spine here. So we're starting to move into a bit of a cat-cow. Let's flip the palms up towards the ceiling. Reach, 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 reach. Inhale. And then on our exhale, round through the spine, palms face the face. Good. Inhale to reach. Exhale, flip the palms around through the spine. One more. Inhale. And exhale. All right, this time take a big inhale. We can release the fingers, still reaching, reaching, reaching. This time let's take hold of our right wrist here. As we reach up, think about sort of pulling this arm up and over. Let's find a side bend. Still connected firmly through that right hip, whether we're seated in the chair or the ground. So we're rooting down through this side, trying to find length and opening down the right side, up and along the right side. So think about lifting up and over. Find a big stretch here. Good. Let's release. Reach up. Let's exhale down through heart center. Give those shoulders a break. Take a big inhale here. All right, let's grab onto opposite wrist. So just grabbing onto left wrist. Think about reaching up and over with the left arm, staying rooted and connected through the left sit bone this time. Find a big side stretch. Still kind of rotating the chest forward, reaching up and over. One more breath. On the inhale, let's reach up. And exhale through heart center. Good. Either a few shoulder rolls here, or if you still want to find a few rounds of breath, either or both. Okay, I'm going to head down to the mat in a minute. We're going to continue with a bit more cat-cow and a bit more stretching, kind of adding in a bit of strength and core to warm up the body here. From the chair, what it might look like is the cat-cow version in the chair, of course. Cow, we're going to, as we're sitting in the chair, I'm just going to turn sideways. We're sort of lifting up and out of the spine as we are reaching up, and then rounding through the spine, just like we were doing when we were seated just a moment ago. Hands can flow like before or stay connected to the knees and help draw that heart space through. Inhale, and then exhale, round. Think about pushing off of the legs here and rounding through the spine. Then as we add in our opposite arm and leg flow, we can do that from the chair as well. So opposite arm and leg will reach up. We'll feel that core engagement as we flow through a bit of spinal balance as well. So I'm going to head down to the floor, continue with your cat-cow. If you're in the chair, I'll meet you on the floor here. I'm going to use my chair for a little support, so that's always a nice cue. If you do decide to move between the chair and the mat, always know that the chair is there as a support, a prop, to help you get up and down if that feels comfortable and safe for you to do. Okay, so we're going to find ourselves in a tabletop here on the mat. We're going to stack our knees under our hips and wrists under our shoulders. We're going to firm up the belly to begin with, really feel the connection, pressing all the fingertips into the mat, tops of the feet into the mat. We're feeling a lot of strength and work happening here. Let's do a few rounds of cat-cow. Drop the belly, tilt the tailbone up, pull the heart space through and look up. So we've got a big front body opening here happening. Then we're going to start to push the mat away as we curl the tailbone round through the spine. This is our cat stretch on the floor. Start to drop the belly, tilt the tailbone, pull the heart space, look up. This is our inhale, and then exhale, start to round through the spine, push the mat away. Good. Keep going, find your rhythm. If you're finding you want to add any other little movements in, options for that are, of course, to inhale through center and then exhale, look over your shoulder and draw same hip towards same shoulder. So you're creating a little bit of a C shape in the spine. This will give you a bit of lateral movement. We can inhale through center, go to the other side. So that's a nice option. Draw that hip towards the shoulder. Another option might be to drop the belly, round through the spine, maybe even finding some circles in one direction and the other. And maybe you're feeling ready to even sit back a little bit as we inhale and exhale, or a combination of all of those things. Few more rounds of breath here, just really working the spine, warming it up. And on the next inhale, let's meet in neutral spine here. Really just connect back in with the nice tabletop shape. Really press through all the fingers. And here we go. I demonstrated this in the chair. We're going to start to add in some spinal balance. So on the floor, let's kick our left leg out. Keep those toes grounded to begin with. And make sure we're dropping that left hip down. We're still engaging through the core though. Maybe this is where you stay. Maybe you want to lift that leg off the mat or lift that foot up if you're in the chair. Maybe you stay here. Maybe you feel super strong and you want to lift the opposite arm up. So the right arm lifts here and we're reaching through fingers and toes to the opposite ends of the mat. Take a big inhale and then exhale, round through the spine. If you're in the chair, round through the spine, draw the elbow towards the knee. And then inhale to reach. And then exhale, draw elbow towards knee. Whether you're seated or on the ground, you'll feel the core work to help draw, by sort of pulling back and rounding the spine. We're making room underneath or in front of our body to connect knee to elbow. Let's do two more here. Inhale. Round through the spine, connect elbow to knee. Last one, inhale. And elbow to knee. Good, take one more big inhale. And then lower down. Option here to sit back in child's pose or fold forward in the chair. Give the wrists a little break. Maybe we could even circle through them. We have to go to the other side here. If you're in child's pose, send the hips back over the heels. Take a breath. And then make your way back to tabletop. Reset. So knees under hips, wrists under elbows, press, or under shoulders and elbows. Press into all 10 fingers. This time we'll kick our right leg out behind us. Drop the right hip, engage through the core so we have a nice long line of energy. And maybe then we lift our right foot off the mat as well. We're still feeling nice and strong. We might want to lift left arm and flow with that cat-cow. Here we go. Inhale and exhale. So round through the spine. Connect the elbow to knee. Inhale. Exhale. We're not lifting too high here. We're thinking about reaching straight out in front of us and behind us, dropping that right hip on the inhale, and then exhale to round and press. We have 2 more here. Inhale, exhale, inhale here, exhale, round through the spine, connect the knee to the elbow, and then final big inhale here, and lower down. Whew. Awesome. Let's sit back in child's pose. Maybe spread the knees, make a bit of room for the belly and torso to melt down. If you're in the chair, you can separate the legs as well and just forward fold in between the legs. Take a breather. Arms can be active in child's pose, pressing into fingers, or just let them melt into the mat. From here, we'll start to walk ourselves over to one side and see if we can keep the hips really heavy over the opposite hip. So as I'm walking towards the left, I'm making sure my right hip stays nice and heavy over my right foot. And then I'll see if this right hand can come and meet that left hand and melt down. So we've got a big, deep side stretch again. If you're in the chair, option, stay where you are if you're on the ground. Option in the chair is just like before. We could find a side stretch by pulling the wrist, or if we're in this forward fold here, option is to, just like those of us on the ground, to start walking over towards one side, staying heavy through the opposite side, finding a big stretch. As long as this feels okay on the body. I'm going to meet you back on the floor here. I'm coming back into my right side body stretch here for another breath. And then I'll lift my forehead, walk through center, and all the way over to the other side. So now the opposite hip's going to stay heavy as my left side body gets a big stretch here. I'll try and keep my left hip heavy over the left ankle. All right, let's lift the forehead, come back through center. Good, take a breath. And then making our way back to tabletop or seated up nice and tall in the chair. Let's just do a little bit of hip stretching. So from the floor, let's see if we can step our right foot through, and our hands can stay on the mat or on the blocks if we have them, or they can walk up to our knee. And we'll just start to send the hips. Find a bit of a hip stretch in the left outer hip here and see if we can move a little bit. Like, I don't want to say bounce exactly, but just play around with this. Find a nice stretch. Now the option here, or the idea here, is not to just lean forward. We're not really getting a stretch here. We want to stay nice and upright and think about sort of squeezing the bum, tucking the tailbone under. Then we'll feel that hip stretch. And then we can move the whole body forward in space if we need to deepen the stretch a little bit. So work on that. If you're on the floor, you do have the option to have your hands down on the blocks or the floor. You also have the option to maybe flow through a hamstring stretch here and move back and forth. So a couple of options there. If you're in the chair, we want to set ourselves up So from the front of the chair, we might just want to turn ourselves sideways so that the right foot is being supported by the chair, and then we can step our left foot back here and work on sort of doing that same pelvic tilt, tucking the tailbone under, feeling that stretch in the front of the left hip flexor here. And our option is to stay, and we can't really move and glide quite as easily. We might be able to straighten and bend the back leg to increase that stretch. Now, you can choose to stay or move a bit dynamically here, depending on what feels good. So I'm gonna head back to the floor here. So that's the option for the chair, and of course we will flip around and go to the other side in a minute. See, I'm using my chair here to help me get back into my hip flexor stretch. I'm gonna send my hips back here, move a little bit into the hamstrings. If you're in the chair, keep working on the hip flexor stretch. Good. A couple more breaths wherever we are. I might just stay in the hip flexor stretch here. Awesome. All right, so for those of us in the chair, we'll start to make our way around to face the other side. On the floor here, let's lower the hands down. See if we can step our foot back to tabletop. All of us can take a couple rounds of cat-cow. Noticing how we feel different, probably on one side from the other. So just a bit of movement through cat-cow. One more breath. All right, let's come back to neutral. For those of us in the chair, let's flip around. You'll be working on stretching the other hip flexor. And for those of us on the floor, let's work this left foot forward here. Settle in. Hands can be on the floor, on some blocks perhaps, or all the way up to our knees. Square off the hips. Tuck the tailbone. So think about tucking the tailbone and sort of drawing the hip bones towards the ribs. You'll automatically feel a bit of stretch in that right hip flexor, and then we can start to sink forward if that feels okay. The whole sort of body moves forward. We're not just leaning forward. That doesn't change the intensity of the stretch. So depending on how much sensation you're looking for, staying upright, working on that tuck. Remember, if you're in the chair, you can work on straightening and bending the back leg to increase the sensation. Maybe here on the floor, we find a bit more sensation by moving forward. Maybe we incorporate it with a little bit of movement and find a hamstring stretch. Maybe we just flow between. If you do have blocks, a really nice option with them is to have them on whatever height works for you. And you can bring the blocks back with you as support and then bring them forward. So it's a nice option if you have blocks. All right. So a couple more breaths here wherever we are. I'm working on the tilt of my hip flexor here, tilt of my hip bones up towards my ribs. Awesome. All right, let's come out of it. So let's lean forward if we're on the mat. Step our foot back. We'll find ourselves in our tabletop again. Option for a couple of rounds in cat-cow here, or if downward dog is in your practice, maybe curling the toes under, pressing the hips up and back, and finding a couple of breaths and pedals in downward dog, only if it's in your practice. If you're in the chair, find a nice forward fold again, or maybe a few more rounds of that cat-cow. And then if you're in tabletop, as safely as you can, make your way up to standing. If you're in downward dog, bend the knees, look forward, and step up to the top of the mat. For those of us hanging in a forward fold here, let's inhale to up halfway, draw the hands to the shins, with a nice tall flat back, and then exhale, forward fold. And then this time we'll press into the feet, we'll hinge all the way up, sweeping the arms up, inhale. And then exhale, hands through heart center, release. Now we're going to do a few rounds of that breath, so I'll show a couple of options here. For those of us in the chair, we might be sitting in the chair here, and we'll do a bit of a An inhale. Exhale, starting to hinge forward with a long spine and then folding over the thighs. This is our forward fold. And then to come up halfway, just like those of us who will be standing, we'll drag the hands up the shins maybe, or maybe onto the lap. From the side, we'll have a nice forward fold to begin with, and then we'll start to find that long flat back. So hands on shins or knees. And then we'll forward fold again, round over the thighs. And then inhale, sweep the arms up. And exhale, hands to heart center. So work on a few rounds of that breath. It's a nice little bit of breath work. For those of us on the mat, same thing. Let's take a big inhale, sweep the arms up. Hinging forward, dive down, fold over the legs, let the head be heavy. And then come up halfway, drag those hands up the shins. Find that nice flat back. And then exhale, forward fold again. And then come on up to standing. So moving at your own pace. Exhale. Let's go again. Inhale. Exhale, forward fold. So bending the legs lots, draping over them just as if we were seated. And then come up halfway. Find that long spine. And then exhale, forward fold again. Bend those legs. Press through the feet to come all the way up. One more round on your own. Here we go. Inhale. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, come up halfway. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, press through the feet, sweep the arms up. Let's exhale the hands through heart center. We're going to come into a balance pose. So hands can stay at heart center if this is where you feel most balanced, or maybe come to hands on hips. And if you're in the chair, I'll demonstrate the balance postures in just a moment. So for our balance pose, first thing we're going to do is get even weight distribution in both feet. Now, an option for the chair is you don't have to do this seated, but you can use the chair or a wall as a bit of a prop to help give you some stability. I've been finding my balance is way off these days, so I've been using props to help me with them, and I may well do that again here tonight, and that's no problem. So that's one way to use the chair, it's just something to hold on to. So for those of us standing, equal weight in both feet, hands on hips at heart center, or maybe we're holding on to our prop for balance. Let's transfer the weight into the left foot here and see if we can scoop the right knee up. If you're in the chair, same thing, scoop the knee up. See if we can maybe grab onto it with our hands. And right away, even in the chair, you'll feel that core, so that we have that nice tall spine still. You feel that core kick in. All right, if we're standing, same thing, lift the knee. Maybe we're just here holding at prayer or on our hips. Maybe we can reach down, grab the knee, give it a little hug. All right, let's flex that right foot wherever we are and see if we can let it go. And we're going to cross it over left knee, let the right knee fall open. So if you're in the chair, you're just sort of sitting with a nice cross leg here. And you might already be feeling a stretcher sensation in the outer right hip. That's okay. If you're looking for more and you're standing, start to bend into the standing leg here and sort of coming into our one-legged chair pose. Hands can be wherever you feel stable, of course, and you can play with sinking lower. If you're standing, you could even play with trying to connect elbows to your leg, or even folding a little forward. That's quite intense, so play with your intensity. And if you're in the chair, we might be seated like this. It might feel like there's enough sensation already. We might feel like we want to start to hinge forward, so keep that long spine. Notice the sensation in the outside of the right hip and find your chair pose. Okay, I'm going to join you back standing, but I'm still got my chair here for some support. All right, let's stay for a couple more breaths wherever we are. We're going to start to press into our support leg and come up to standing. Let's see if we can uncross the leg again, just where we started. Lift that knee up, and then we're going to transition. I'm just going to turn to the side here. Keep the knee up if you can. We're going to transition from our knee lifted. Option to go straight into warrior three, or step back to a lunge to begin with, reset, and then let's see if we can tip off into warrior three. So again, maybe using the chair or a wall. For warrior three, arms can come alongside our ears. out by our shoulders. They can fly alongside our body. Let's just find a couple more breaths here. Woo. All right, let's see if we can lower that foot with a bit soft landing. Good, let's sweep the arms up, inhale. Good, let's exhale up to mountain pose. Take a big inhale, forward fold. Whew. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. And inhale, come all the way up. So for those of us standing, go through that a couple of times. I realized I didn't have a transition for those in the chair, transitioning out of the hip flexor stretch. So when we're coming out of it, we can draw that knee back in just like we did. We can maybe even let go, see if we can still draw the knee in, really feel that core. And then our warrior three in our chairs, let's see if we can kick the leg out. Maybe we can lift the arms up, out to the side, or down by our side, just like those standing. But keep the leg, lifted, energy through the heel. So if you're standing, keep flowing through the breath work for a few more. If you're in the chair, maybe try that warrior three on the first side, and then we'll switch it all up and do it on the second side. I'm just going to move my chair around here so that I have it on the other side for some support. I do have a wall here as well. We'll see how it goes. Wherever you are, let's finish up a round of breath coming out of our warrior three if we've been practicing that in the chair, and getting ready in our mountain pose here for the other side. So again, hands can be at heart center, on our hips, or maybe even holding onto our props. Let's transfer the weight into the right foot this time. Let's see if we can draw that left leg, knee up, trying to keep the hips nice and even, so drop the left hip as well. If we're in the chair or standing, maybe we can even reach, grab onto the knee, give it a little squeeze. Woo. I'm struggling with this balance, like I said. And then let's flex the left foot, cross it over right knee, and let it kind of hinge open. And then we'll play with our depth of stretch here. If we're standing, we may want to start to bend into the support leg. If we're seated, we might want to find that forward fold. If we're looking for a little bit more and we're standing, we could start to fold forward, reaching for blocks or floor. Just making sure we're listening to our body, finding the amount of sensation and stretch that we're looking for. And strength. Don't forget to engage through the core here, press through the support foot. A lot of work happening. Stay for a couple more breaths. Whew. All right, let's start to press into that support leg. See if we can draw that knee in, give it a little squeeze. And then option, of course, is to step into a lunge. I'm just going to cut my losses here. Step into a lunge and then transition to warrior three. Arms wherever we're going to feel most stable. Out to the side, maybe along our ears, maybe along our side body here. On this side, and each side might be different, I'm needing the extra support of wings out to the side here. Let's stay for 2 more breaths. All right, let's step back into that lunge again. Sweep the arms up, take a big inhale, and then exhale up to mountain pose. We'll do 1 more round of breath. Inhale here. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, come up halfway. Exhale, forward fold. And inhale all the way back up to standing. Exhale, hands through heart center. Let's all just set the feet wide, shake it out, maybe shake the legs out, let it all go. That was a tough balance sequence, so congratulations on getting through it there. I used my props to help me, and I really noticed the difference from one side to the other. It's totally normal, nothing to worry about. Balance is over. Let's make our way back down to our chair or back down to the mat. I'm going to finish off on the mat here for these last few stretches. If you're in the chair, just settle in, make sure the sit bones are grounded through the chair, feet are planted on the mat. Let's come into a couple of options. We could come into butterfly or a wide leg seated fold. If you're in the chair, this stepping the feet wide might be the best option for you here and hinging forward. If we're on the floor, Again, wide leg seated fold or butterfly. I'm going to choose butterfly today. Let's all find those sit bones. Take a big inhale, find a nice tall spine, and before we melt, let's hinge forward with a nice tall spine. Find that sort of edge. We can't go any further with a tall spine. You can choose to stay here or go ahead and melt down. Round through the spine, splay the shoulder blades. So now we want to feel a bit of stretch and sensation on the inner portion of the legs. All right, let's lift the forehead, come on up to seated. So we're going to make our way into this kind of shape. So whether if you've got your feet wide, bend one foot. If you've got your legs bent and you're in butterfly, let's straighten one foot out. So I've got my left leg straight, right leg tucked in. If you're in the chair, just stay in a nice wide fold here. And I'll show you an option in a moment. If you're on the floor, we're going to do a little side bend and stretch out that hip flexor one more time. Let's all twist towards the short leg, and then we're going to reach our arms along the long leg. Inhale, sweep opposite arm up, and exhale, find that side bend. Keep the short leg hip grounded, so stay grounded through this hip. This is our nice big side bend here. Stay here, find breath. If you're in the chair, we have a slightly different option. We're going to be in our wide leg forward fold here. We're still going to twist towards one leg. Maybe we come to rest our elbow on our knee, or maybe we reach down towards our foot here, and we'll take a big twist open here. So we'll still find a nice stretch down the side body, stay heavy and grounded through this side. This is our option in the chair. I'm going to come back out of this and meet back on the floor. This is one of my most favorite stretches. Reaching up and over, finding that side stretch. Good. Let's stay for another breath. Let's inhale back up through center. Good. Let's lean back if we're on the floor. We'll step both legs and bend the knees. Just windshield wiper the legs. You can do this on the chair as well. Or maybe just lift and squeeze one leg. Just sort of rinse it out. And then we'll go to the other side. So let's come back up and we'll switch sides. So I'm going to straighten out my right leg, bend my left leg in, settle in here, take an inhale, twist towards the short leg, reach along the long leg, same arm, inhale, sweep the opposite arm up and side bend over. Awesome. Keep thinking about rotating this top shoulder down and back so that we keep facing forward with our front side body here. Stay heavy through the left side, the short side, whatever side you're on. And find that big deep side stretch. 2 more breaths. On the inhale, come back up through center. Okay, option to windshield wiper again, or option to come into a reverse tabletop. We'll step both feet in. Hands come behind, fingers facing forward or just out to the side, depending on what feels best for your shoulders. And press through hands and feet. Lift the hips off the mat. Take an inhale here, or option, remember, just like before, to windshield wiper the legs. And then lower down. Awesome. Press ourselves back up to seated. And then we'll make our way down to our backs for our final sort of few moments. So uncross the legs, option to get down onto your back. Use a leg as a lever here if you'd like. Roll down, unrolling one vertebrae at a time. Drawing the knees into the chest, rock side to side. If you're seated in your chair, your option is to draw one knee in and then the other, just moving with breath. And if there are any final poses your body might need, perhaps another bridge, perhaps an inversion, a nice easy one, of course, is to just lift the legs up towards the ceiling, let everything flow with gravity back down towards the heart. Or maybe you want to do another figure 4 stretch, wasn't enough in the standing option. So spend a few moments here just figuring out what feels best. Maybe your windshield wiper, there's no right or wrong, anything that your body needs, just for a couple more breaths so that we can make sure we've sort of honored our body's desires for movement so that we can really find stillness in Shavasana. So wherever you are, take 2 more breaths. And then start to slow it down, finding a comfortable position for Shavasana. A couple of options are to have the knees bent, but the feet walked out towards the edges of the mat. Let the knees fall in. Option to come into reclined butterfly. Soles of the feet come together. We can place one hand on belly, one on heart center. Or we can find our more traditional shape with our legs stretched out in front of us, arms down by our sides, palms turned up. If you're in the chair, finding a comfortable seated position, hands, think about our options from the beginning, turned up or down at heart center, or just resting in our lap. Take a few breaths here, and if you're comfortable, close the eyes and start to scan the body. Just notice if there are any areas we're still holding on to any tension. And see if we can breathe a little loving kindness that way and let it go. Shavasana is the time for our physical and energetic bodies to absorb all that good work we just did and turn it into something magical. It's a time for integration and rest. And know that rest is different from sleep, and that we need both every day, and we should never pass up an opportunity to just rest and do nothing. Now, the beauty of practicing through the lens, of course, is you can stay in Shavasana as long as you like. Let the video play out or press pause. Or if you feel ready to wake up the body, start to wiggle through fingers and toes and circle wrists and ankles. Maybe stretch long along your mat or curl into a little ball one last time just before rolling over to one side and making your way to a comfortable seated position. And just like how we began, we can turn our hands down, turn the palms up. We can rest them in prayer at heart center or right over our heart space, whatever feels most comfortable for you. Let's take a big breath together. Inhale. Exhale, let it go. Thank you so much for allowing me to come into your personal private yoga practice spaces, for allowing me to guide you through these postures. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, evening, and week. I'll hope to see you here again next week. Take care. Thank you, everybody. I hope that felt a little challenging and different and exciting. It was a lot more active compared to last week, and we'll always try and switch it up here. So again, I had my chair this week. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, but there's always options. So I hope that you will tune in again next week. I'll see you then. Take care. Bye.